Lesson 7.1, Ratios and Rates. A ratio is the comparison of two numbers using division. Equivalent ratios are ratios that have the same value. A rate is a ratio of two quantities measured in two different units. Unit rate is a rate that has a denominator of 1. An example of a rate would be, it is $12.50 per 2 gallons of milk. That's a rate. We're comparing amount of money to how many gallons of milk. A unit rate is always over 1. We see this a lot when we travel for our miles per hour or our miles per gallon. When we test our heart rate, beats per minute or rate per minute. We also do that with traveling. Anything over 1, even with the gallon of milk, we could say that the milk was $6.25 per 1 gallon. As long as it's over 1, it's a unit rate. Example 1, writing a ratio. An outlet mall has 36 clothing stores, 6 footwear stores, 4 craft stores, and 20 specialty shops. Write the ratio of clothing to specialty shops in 3 ways. This 2 tells you where your fraction bar is. So you want clothing stores to specialty stores. Clothing stores was 36, specialty stores was 20. Always remember to simplify, so it's 9 to 5. We say that as 9 to 5. The ratio can be written with a fraction bar. You might want to write this down. I will ask you on a test the 3 ways to write a ratio. The first way is a fraction bar. The second way is with a colon. That's the dots, 2 dots. And the third way is with the word 2. Use the information in example 1 to write the ratio in simplest form and 2 other ways. Pause the video and try 1 and 2 by yourself. Remember to simplify. Craft stores had 4 stores, footwear had 6. So we have 4, 2, 6. We can simplify that to 2/3. 2 to 3. The second way to write it is the word 2. And the third way to write it is with the colon. There's my answer. Specialty shops had 20, craft stores had 4. Now remember that it's going to be improper fractions. The first number has to be the first word before 2. The second number has to be after the word 2. So 20 to 4 is going to be your fraction. Now just simplify. Both divide by 4. So that's 1 and 5. So the second way to write it is 5 to 1 and 5:1. So what this means is for every 5 stores, for every 5 specialty shops, there is 1 craft store. In example 2, we're going to find an equivalent rate. About 245 babies are born every minute around the world. It's going to be important that we know about the minutes. About how many babies are born per hour? We're going to use the fact that 60 minutes are in 1 hour. So 60 minutes over 1 hour is equivalent to 1. Here's our rate. 245 babies are born every minute. So 245 births to 1 minute. Take this rate and we're going to multiply it by our equivalent rate. It's actually called a conversion rate. So we're going to convert minutes into hours. That's this. 60 minutes in 1 hour. We can divide out the common units, that's our labels, our minutes, when there's 1 in the numerator, 1 in the denominator. Now we just multiply straight across. 245 times 60 is 14,700 births in, well, 1 times 1 is 1, and we keep the hours. Just like we kept the births, we keep the hours. There is our equivalent rate. Finding a unit rate, we want to make the denominator into 1. Remember, it's always over 1. So negative 33 gallons in 8 minutes. Divide, to get the denominator to 1, we divide by 8, because that's what the denominator is. That means we also divide by 8 in the numerator. You have negative 4.125, which is negative 4 and 125 thousandths over 1. That's the unit rate. It's the number of gallons per minute. And this must be that we're losing gallons per minute because we have a negative. We can always check by rounding negative 4 and 125 thousandths to negative 4, multiply by that 8, and you should get around negative 32, which is about negative 33. So your answer is reasonable. For number 3, we have the rate 0.3 miles, 3/10 of a mile per minute. We need to take that rate and multiply it by our conversion rate, which is miles per hour. Actually, that's what we want to find out. I'm sorry. That is our end goal, is to get miles per hour. So we need to change minutes into hours. Because we eventually want to end up with hours in the denominator, our conversion rate, again, this fraction is called your conversion rate. We want to put hours in the denominator and minutes in the numerator. There is 60 minutes in 1 hour. Go ahead and pause the video and solve this problem. We can cross off the minutes because there's 1 in the numerator, 1 in the denominator. Take 3/10 times 60 and you get 18 miles per hour. For number 4, we're trying to find unit rate. That means we want to take our denominators and turn them into 1. So divide the denominator and the numerator by whatever the number the denominator is. So if there's 168 students in 7 classes, on average, how many is in 1 class? 24 students. Pause the video and try 5, 6, and 7. For number 5, we divide by 3, because that's the denominator. If there's negative 252 feet per 3 seconds, then there's negative 84 feet per 1 second. Number 6, we divide by the denominator again. And it's okay if you're going to get a decimal. It might happen. So if there's 57, I'm assuming, hours in 38 days, then how many hours in 1 day? 1.5 hours per day. Maybe this is something about how much you work or how much you travel within the given days. Okay, that might be what this scenario is. Let's say you get paid $430 for 40 hours. How much do you get paid per hour? So let's divide by the denominator. And you would get paid $10.75 per hour. Let me just remind you, when you're doing equivalent rates, you need to take the rate, multiply by the conversion rate, or I'm actually going to call it the conversion factor. I think that's the proper name, the conversion rate or the conversion factor. So the rate times the conversion factor, and that's going to equal your answer. So take the rate that they give you, so I'm even going to call maybe given rate, the given rate times the conversion factor. The conversion factor they're never going to give you. This is just things you know. This is what you know. Might be in your planner, but it's things you know, like how many hours or in a day, or how many minutes in an hour.